Premier League's back this weekend, and we got an extra bonus game for you this weekend. It's Saturday night. It's 8 o'clock. It is Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Very much looking forward to that. Let's now talk, though, all things Chelsea with Rory Jennings in the studio. Rory, 3 games into the season for Chelsea. What have you made so far of the start? 4 points, a win, a loss and a draw. What have you made of the very early stages of life under Enzo Maresca?
It's been fairly underwhelming. It's not been a great start at all. You know, I think losing to Man City on the opening day, I'm never going to pretend that that's acceptable. I know that City are a chasm above where we are, but realistically, we should be challenging Man City. And it's important to remember that the club that the ownership bought, the club that Chelsea were when the ownership first came in, we were the champions of Europe. In fact, we were the Club World Cup. We were the best club team in the world. So I do think it's a shame that the gap has now got so severe that even when we're playing at home against Manchester City, a team who, whether it's true or not, the narrative is that they start slowly, a team that were without Rodri, somehow still managed to dominate to a level where we're not really expected to win. And there was something symbolic, wasn't there, in that victory for them? Mateo Kovacic smashing past Enzo. Yeah. Mateo Kovacic past Enzo for exactly. Yeah. So no, that one was a shame. Then we had a demolition job of Wolverhampton Wanderers, which I think was very impressive. I think whenever you score 6 goals in the Premier League, it's noteworthy. Whenever you score 6 goals away from home, it's truly brilliant. But we also have to acknowledge the context. Like, Wolves have been pulled from pillar to post. They're all over the place. You've got to feel so sorry for Gary O'Neill. Their 2 best players from last season have both gone, and they got battered. It went our way. So that was impressive. And then, obviously, we had a really, really poor draw with Crystal Palace. It now means that Enzo Maresca's played 2 games at home, haven't won any of them. We've taken 1 point at home. And the way that the fixtures go, I don't think he can get a home win until October.
Okay. Long way away then. The transfer window, Rory, may be closed, but the chaos lives on at Chelsea, doesn't it? Todd Boehly and Clearlake are loggerheads. The pair want to buy each other out, but neither seemingly wants to budge. Reports suggest the decision to sack Poch was the sort of the lightning rod, if you like, for all of the tension. I mean, is there any way, Rory, that Chelsea can expect success with kind of all of this going on off the pitch? And what have you made of kind of what we've been reading over the past couple of days about stuff going on right at the top of the football club?
I mean, it's a mess, isn't it? It's like a genuine mess. It's about as awful as you could get at the start of the season. I think it's almost impossible for a team to flourish when there is disharmony in the boardroom, and this is actually beyond disharmony. I've used the wrong word there. This is palpable hatred, palpable discord. Like, I think it's been an open secret in football for a long time that Chelsea's 2, at least public-facing owners, no longer speak. So there's no relationship at all. But I think it's soured now to such a level where they are Montagues and Capulets. You know, they're forcing the other one's hand, trying to buy one another out. There is absolutely no love there. And ultimately, this is going to have ramifications on the team because we've seen the 2 strategies. So we've seen how Boehly likes to operate. We've seen what he likes to do with Chelsea Football Club. And we've also seen the Bededegbali approach. Neither, in my opinion, works. Mm-hmm. But one is far more palatable than the other. Mm-hmm. So, by this logic, I don't have anything favourable to say about Todd Boehly, really. But if it's a case of Bededegbali or Todd Boehly, I have to back Boehly. Because Boehly's vision for Chelsea, I think it was clear to see, and whilst it didn't work, it could be rationalised. You know, his approach was to try and create a sort of Hollywood version of the football team. You know, like the razzmatazz of Hollywood. Do you remember when he initially came in and he made himself weirdly sporting director? Yeah. De facto sporting director, at least. What he was trying to do was sign Cristiano Ronaldo and make Chelsea the sort of Harlem Globetrotters of football. And then you look at the players that he signed. Each of them can be understood. Whilst I think maybe signing Raheem Sterling is now seen as a bad signing, it wasn't at the time. He just won the league under Pep Guardiola. He'd been an ever-present for Manchester City. In fact, Pep Guardiola was picking Raheem Sterling over Phil Foden, over Jack Grealish. It was always Raheem Sterling. Manchester City got to a Champions League final. They got beat. Who started? Raheem Sterling. So that signing was a good signing. Okay, it didn't work, but it was a signing that you can at least understand. Similarly, Kalidou Koulibaly. It was a disaster, one of the Chelsea's worst ever signings. But he was also one of the most highly coveted players in Europe for about a decade. So again, it made sense. Signing Aubameyang. It didn't work, but it was on the proviso that he'd work with Thomas Tuchel. So his signings worked. What Bededegbali has done since he's taken the reins You know, this just constantly signing South American players, Brazilian children almost, who sign for Chelsea, play a year for Strasbourg, and then are sold at a profit. Nothing that he does is for the benefit or furtherance of Chelsea Football Club. So I think it's a mess. And how this is going to impact the goings-on on the pitch, time will tell. But it can't do us any favour. There's so many examples, aren't there, of a disruption in the boardroom having a dramatic effect in a negative way on the goings-on on the pitch. We've seen it. We've seen it at Manchester United, for example.
And then to make matters worse for Rory, I mean, also this week it's been reported that the club's owners are potentially looking into leaving Stamford Bridge for a new site at Earls Court. And of course, football fans, the Chelsea football fans, aren't very happy with this. What have you made of this information?
It's not true. This is the problem. Earls Court isn't true. Earls Court can't happen. So they're saying Earls Court because Earls Court, even for me, would just about be palatable.
Sure.
It's in the same neck of the woods. Yeah. It's the same catchment area. Earls Court is Zone 1. So Earls Court doesn't work. So the reason they're saying Earls Court is to get everybody all right with the idea of leaving Stamford Bridge.
Sure.
And then it won't be there. Then it will be taken as south of the river. Chelsea aren't a south of the river club. Then it will be moving up to Scrubs Lane, which is what they spoke about before, which is like QPR territory, Linford Christie and all that. Like, what it won't be is Earls Court. Earls Court sold. It's ridiculous to even suggest it. When this board came in, when this ownership, Clear Lake, came in, they came in under the proviso that they would exhaust all possibilities of staying at Stamford Bridge. Roman Abramovich actually had a 60-seater stadium ready on the site at Stamford Bridge. Like, Chelsea leaving Stamford Bridge is very different to other clubs. Like, we are. Well, Chelsea only exists because of Stamford Bridge. Like, the links to Chelsea and our ground. Like, we have only ever played at Stamford Bridge. I think we might be the only club in the country that have only ever played at one ground. It's different. And I think everything that we need to do means that we have to try and stay there. There's also some, like, real romantic reasons why it matters. Like, Peter Osgood's ashes are buried underneath the penalty spot, for example. The stadium is why Chelsea still exists. You know those images that people like to use almost as a way to slander Chelsea fans, like save the bridge and things like that. It's weird because people use that as something to dig us with, whereas I'm incredibly proud of that. The reason that Chelsea exists still is partly because of Stamford Bridge. It's because the fans own the stadium. So I desperately don't want to leave Stamford Bridge. I think that we should really try and stay. But if you look at this ownership have done nothing for the culture of the club. They've done nothing for the fans of the club. They've put season ticket prices up for the first time in a decade, for example.
Right.
If you are ever going to allow any ownership to move Chelsea from Stamford Bridge, it cannot be this one. This one have proved to us that they cannot be trusted. This one have proved to us, time and time again, that they have no love or understanding of what the Chelsea Football Club actually means, what Chelsea Football Club should actually represent. If I'm a pitch owner, if I am ever going to give my acceptance to Chelsea moving from Stamford Bridge, and my acceptance here, by the way, when I say I mean any owner, any pitch owner, it's huge, because you cannot be called Chelsea Football Club without our approval. So say he was to say, right, we're going anyway, can't be called Chelsea. Like, we own it. We own the pitch. We own.
Sure.
So our approval here is so important. And in my opinion, if we are to give our approval to any ownership, it cannot be this one, who have proved to be nothing but deceitful.
Do you see any way back, Rory? Is there any way you can see a future under this ownership where the fans and the club can be brought closer together, or do you just think this is only going to stop when the day comes that these guys move on?
No,
is there any way back, do you think, Rory?
I do. I think that if they were to change their strategy, you know, this ludicrous strategy of signing, like, almost stockpiling talent, if they were to change their strategy of every occasion trying to profit on the outgoings from Cobham, if they were to change, of course, my feelings towards them would change. I don't have a personal dislike of Todd Bowley. I don't care on a personal level with Bedad Egbali. I care about what they're doing. If they stop doing what they're doing, my opinion of them will change.
In terms of on the pitch, Rory, Noni Madueke went away with England. No starts in the 2 games. We saw Cole Palmer. Was that nice, Rory, when you saw the news that Cole had pulled out? Just have 2 weeks off. Get yourself fit.
Sorry, I think you meant Madueke doing well for England. I wouldn't. No, I don't. I don't feel like that.
No,
I like Chelsea players play for England. Yeah. No,
but impressed with Madueke when he came off the bench?
Very impressed. Yeah, nice to see him involved in the goal as well.
I think I owe him an apology.
Did you not get Madueke?
I was very critical of him. With that penalty incident, it was the Everton game last season. No, you were right,
though. Your criticism there is fair.
But then I didn't like that from him. I thought it was really selfish. And I kind of just had that in my head, and I just judged him
do you know what can happen,
I think I'll hold my hands up.
Sometimes being a selfish midfielder or selfish goal scorer.
You need that.
Yeah. Maybe that showed us that he's actually...
it's not a good look, though.
No, I agree.
Trying to steal the penalty ball of Cole Palmer, is it? He's very talented, right? He's very direct and skillful.
Very good player, and has been one of the jewels in the crown of the players that we've signed. Actually, when you think about how many bad players we've signed, the list goes on. But you go all of the goalkeepers. You go Axel Disasi. You can go on and on.
Kepa at Bournemouth is one of the strangest things in the history of football transfers.
He's won a European Cup twice.
Yeah, I know.
Twice.
How much did he cost you? Just short of
72 million.
72 million pounds. And I was on loan at Bournemouth.
I think you could argue. So it's one for another day. But do you know what you could argue? If you were to ever compile a list of the worst signings of all time, Premier League signings, I don't think he necessarily is. I think you could maybe argue Anthony. Sure. I think you could argue.
Is Lukaku in that bracket?
Yeah, Lukaku could be on that list twice.
Because how much did he cost? Just short of 100 million
Lukaku to Chelsea and Lukaku to Man United. He could be on the same list twice.
But at least at United, he had like a decent 6-month period when he joined me. It was okay.
Yeah, I think that Kepa Arrizabalaga, though, could be on the list simply because he came in to replace Courtois. He cost far more than we sold Courtois for. We weirdly, at the time, this sounded like a long contract. It's quite a short contract now. But we put him on a 7-year deal.
That's nothing nowadays, is it?
And we spent a fortune on him. He'd had 1 good season in Spain. One good season, and we spent all that money on him.
And then also as well, just talking to goalkeepers, what happened to Edward Mendy because he was your keeper when he won the Champions League, wasn't he? Right,
mate. No footballer ever has had a purple patch like him.
I couldn't even tell you where he is now. Is he in Saudi?
Yeah, he had a purple patch like no other. He basically became the best goalkeeper in the world for 6 months, and in that 6 months, he won the European Cup and AFCON.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a good goalkeeper before, and he wasn't a good goalkeeper after. But he just had a period where
people were talking about him winning the Ballon d'Or, weren't they? I think he might even come in the top.
He was robbed. I think Donnarumma won the best goalkeeper of the year that year.
Right.
But he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Edouard Mendy won the Champions League. He didn't concede a goal. to the Champions League.
That's incredible, isn't it?
And then he won AFCON. That has to make you the best goalkeeper in the league.
Well, you think so? Yeah, you can't really beat that, can you?
Yeah, Donnarumma won the Euros. That was the difference.
Just one question on this Chelsea team. We know it's a stacked team, certainly in attacking areas. When you look at the attack, is Nicholas Jackson? Do you think that Chelsea's number 9 now? Is he the guy that leads the line and sort of gets given a run? Is he the best option?
Yes.
Not Nkunku.
No, weirdly Nkunku. He's not getting the minutes, man.
What's his best? It's a weird
he's not getting the minutes.
Yeah, because he came with such a big reputation, didn't he?
I mean, the injuries and the worrying thing with Nkunku was the injury. It was the same injury. So the injury that kept him out of the World Cup was then the same injury that kept him out his first season. You know, when the player does the same thing twice, it becomes a worry. But for one reason or another, Maresca's not picking him. Now he got some minutes against Man City, and it's got less and less each game. So I don't know what will happen there. But no, Nicholas Jackson, I don't think we can call him our number 9, but he is our through-the-middle striker.
Through-the-middle striker,
yeah.
There we go. False 9 maybe, if you like, not quite. Bournemouth v Chelsea, it is live on talkSPORT this Saturday night. It's an 8 o'clock kick-off, which is a disgrace, isn't it, Rory? Because it takes you off air, doesn't it?
It's a disgrace of many
out of order, by the way, really.
It's a disgrace.
We love your Saturday night show on talkSPORT.
Imagine Chelsea fans trying to get home from Bournemouth, leaving the ground at 10:30.
Wow,
it's ridiculous.
This is nothing new, though, is it, Ryan? Football fans being taken into consideration. You are listening to talkSPORT 2
on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.